April 27th, 1976.
Well, let's see. I love to read the paper, keep abreast of the news. If I may use such a phrase, abreast of the news. When I'm reading a piece like this, when police arrived at the scene of a two-car collision in Ventura, California. Oh, no. Oh, I can't believe it. When police arrived at the scene of a two-car collision in Ventura, California, they found a totally nude woman behind the wheel of one of the cars. You just don't see this kind of stuff in Adam 12. It says the 35-year-old Los Angeles resident was booked for investigation of reckless driving. She told officers that when she began her drive, she thought she was a camel in Morocco. But when she saw palm trees lining the downtown streets, she was convinced. You got to keep up with the news. I say a person who does not keep up with the fast-beaten tempo of modern life is just, he's got cheesecake between the ears. Here's another one of my favorite items that I just picked out of the paper here. Robert Harmon of Limestone Cove, Texas, was admitted to the local VA hospital, poor old Bob, for treatment of a gunshot wound in his foot. When he was asked to explain this mishap, of course, when you go in with a couple of plugs in you there, they do ask those questions. How did it happen? They have to fill out forms and stuff. And when he was asked to explain the mishap, Harmon told investigating officers that he was in his bathroom when he noticed a spider on his foot. Since no newspapers were handy to swat the insect, he was forced to shoot it off with a 16-gauge shotgun. Well, let's face it. Some people have a thing on spiders. Of course, now he's going to be called Stumpy. He'll be walking around there, but at least with that gutta percha leg he's got now, he won't have any trouble with spider bites, and he won't have to worry. And one more thing, I don't know whether you know anything about Belglade, Florida, but I've been in Belglade several times. This is a real town, Belglade, Florida, right? Well, a dragline operator in Belglade, Florida. I'll give you a brass figurine with bronze oak leaf palm if you can tell me what a dragline operator is. Now, that's not a guy that owns a nightclub for people of ambiguous sexual taste. What is a dragline operator? Do you know, Lee? Okay, fine. I know something here. A dragline operator in Belglade, Florida, was so proud of his new 750 Honda that he invited a neighbor over to show him the machine, show it off a little bit, see, as the two men were standing on the patio admiring the motorcycle. A 750 Honda is a pretty hefty motorcycle. It's a lot of bike there. they were standing on the patio admiring the motorcycle. The new owner says, "Well, watch now. Hey, Clem, watch how this thing really got started and everything. You remember you used to have to kick them and all that stuff. They had to kick start and nothing. We got electric start and everything. This thing's damn. Them Japanese have turned out some good stuff now." And he reaches over and he presses the starter, say, to prove it how quietly it ran. It's a nice muffler in there. Unfortunately, the motorcycle was in gear, and it plunged through a giant glass door, which he had just had installed at enormous expense. One of those big sliding Florida doors. See, the motorcycle popped right through the door and went into the living room. See, it was outside, and it goes, pow, into the living room it goes, and it dragged him along with it. He made it almost to the kitchen. Well, he was taken to the hospital to receive treatment for numerous cuts on his arms and face, but that wasn't what really bothered him. It was his ego, That looked awful dumb in front of Clem. Who, Clem was one of these guys that kept saying, "Well, who you think you are, Marlon Brando?" He said, "What do you mean? I've been riding motorcycle for years." He said, "Come on, you get a little old for that kind of stuff, Clem." Next thing you know, of course, he's being dragged into the kitchen with the bike there, and the glass is all over the place. Meanwhile, his wife was sopping up gasoline. The bike is laying on its side, see? It's laying on its side. All gas is flowing out of it, see? And it was lying on its side in the living room. Well, she flushed some gasoline-soaked paper towels down the toilet. Now, for those of you who are thinking of throwing any gas down the toilet, I would advise you to think twice about it. Well, her husband returned home, saw his new motorcycle and the shattered patio door. He took shelter in the bathroom. He was really embarrassed. See, well, I don't have to tell you what happened to John there. Anyway, he had this White Owl, that he was smoking. He always smoked his White Owl there. And, to put it delicately, he decided to use one of the appliances there, see. So he's, trying to soothe his ego, and he's sitting there mad, see. And anyway, he dropped the match into the bowl. Well, the paper towels had clogged the pipes, and the match detonated the gasoline. Wow, and my God almighty. The explosion blew the commode to pieces and propelled him into the air, inflicting third-degree burns on his exposed backside. His wife immediately rushed into the dining room where their phone was and called the ambulance. And because of these burns, the attendants had to carry him spread eagle, face down on the stretcher. He's laying there with everything exposed. As he was being carried outside the hospital, they're carrying him in, see, one of the stretcher guys stumbled and he fell to the ground heavily. And, well, all I got to say is it was a bad day for Belglade. There's been a lot of talk there at the PTA about that, and they don't know whether they're going to let him back in town. I'll tell you, trouble is catching, friends. And yes, indeed, one person starts having trouble around you, it's going to spread to everybody. Everybody knows that. So I'd just love to read the papers. I like to keep abreast of what's happening. Would you please, if you will, in there, just give me a little thing there to swash that my ruffled thing there. There, bring it in there, nice. There we go. And there we go. He did, didn't he? Yes. You like him? Oh, there ain't nothing trouble. I see trouble everywhere. Everywhere I look is problem. Man, sometimes better not get up in the morning. Some days you just can't make a buck. And if you do, you better damn well be careful, because you're liable to get the IRS men on you. And the next thing you know, you're writing out forms and they're taking you away to the slam. So, buddy, trouble is everywhere.
Stop playing that crazy thing. Stop playing that all night long, I hear the sound on my radio. In cabaret and concerts, those bold writing says, stop, please, hurry, lose those, what do you do?
Ain't no use getting out of bed, I say. I say there's trouble everywhere. You like that, huh? Oh, man, sometimes. After all, we have to, just to go on the record here, we have to salute the passing of the convertible. I mean, last week, remember all that stuff about the convertible? For those of you who don't know that it's come to the end of the line. Now, let's face it, though, there's been convertibles made all over the world. It's just America that ain't making them. So it isn't the last convertible that's been made. There's a lot of fine cars making convertibles, including the Rolls. If you're really a high roller, you can still have one of those nice things with the rag top, boy. In fact, that they still make some convertibles in some parts of the world that have leather convertible tops, real leather. Of course, that's pretty high up. I even saw a convertible one time that had, I'm talking about a European convertible. Fantastic car. I mean, it was owned by, as a matter of fact, a big-time industrialist. They're almost like merchant princes in Europe. They have a string of mistresses and the whole works. And this guy was in Monaco for the Grand Prix, and I'm walk along the street there, and the race is going to be the next day, and I see this fantastic car come tooling down this narrow street, and it was an off pearl color. Now, have you ever seen a car painted with pearl-colored paint? That's right. And it was pearl. I mean, it's seriously pearl color. It wasn't the cream or anything. It was pearl. It had that pearlescent quality. It was a pearl-colored car, almost white, a little faint. And the top was made of alligator hide. Well, and the interior was alligator. The kind of thing they make these elegant bags of alligator skin there. The interior of the car was this dark, sort of amber reddish alligator upholstery. And this guy sitting in the front seat there driving his baby, and he had the windows down, and he had his stereo, hi-fi, everything going full blast. And sitting next to him was this very well-known and somewhat notorious French movie actress. And I mean, some guys just know how to play it right to the hilt. I mean, and you think of the poor high rollers that the people who think they're really doing something fantastic, buying themselves a Capri with racing stripes, so they think they're really playing it right to the edge, taking 2 weeks in Miami Beach, and they, oh man, this guy comes cooling down, to Monaco. You pick it up, and so the last convertible is now on the line. I'll tell you something about convertibles, though. Now, I have owned several convertibles in my time. I happen to be very partial to convertibles. I dig a convertible. But I had a scene one time with a convertible that I'll never forget, buddy. And maybe this is one of the reasons why you like convertibles. See, a convertible is a kind of rejection, in some ways, of the what could be called conventional mores, really. Most people are so hung on even what I suppose you could call it peripheral security. That the idea that you got nothing but canvas over your head scares a lot of people just because they want to have, the average guy today is so worried about himself that if you could have every person at birth sealed in armor plate. And, yeah, I don't know what's the matter with people. They're so hung on what could be called, I suppose, conventional security that nothing resembling style is to their taste. See, but let's face it, there's nothing quite as stylish as. Have you ever seen the convertible there's a European convertible which we used to build, a convertible called the Landau. Now, the term Landau is used all the time today, but that's not a true Landau. You know what a Landau is? A Landau convertible is a convertible it's a convertible. It's a true convertible, you see. But it's got a certain type of bracing and so on in it that you can take the top of the convertible, right where it hits the windshield, that unhooks from the windshield and rolls back so that the back seat is still got a top over it and the front seat rolled back. Now, this is not a sliding roof. It's a Landau. Oh, très elegant. And, you just drive along there, it's got real style, see. Now, that's a true Landau. By the way, I owned a car that had that type of top. In fact, I still own it. It's a Morgan +4, what they call, it's the drop head model, which is a Landau top. And I love to push that thing back, drive along. But the true convertible cuckoo will accept nothing else. I mean, it's like asking a guy that spends his time riding Arabian horses to go down and ride on a merry-go-round. I mean, you want to go off for a ride on a horse, go down to the merry-go-round and give him a quarter, and then you sit on one of those wooden horses. But a true convertible freak is a true convertible freak, and he loves them. This is WOR New York, speaking of friends. No, that's unpleasant. But nevertheless, I have a few little commercials here. And immediately following this shotgun blast of Picciaroni, we will, I'll tell you a little story about a convertible. I'll tell you, because anybody who's ever owned convertibles has endless stories to tell you about. And just one little brief thing happened to me one time. I was driving along. I had this convertible. Boy, I tell you, my life was built on this convertible. See, that I'd resurrected from a junkyard, and I'd spent like 4, maybe 5 million kid hours working on it. I knew every bolt on the head there intimately, and I had replaced every gasket in this thing and ground the valves until there was hardly any valve left. And I was so good at changing fuel pumps on this car. This particular car had fuel. They called it a fuel pump defect. It meant that the fuel pump always went on you. I got so good at changing fuel pumps, and the fuel pump on this car would always go out. Invariably, it seemed to go out when you would pull up to a light, and you throttle down. The next thing you know, I hear this. Oh, there goes the fuel pump. See, fuel pump was rotten. So I always kept 2 rebuilt fuel pumps, which I got at J.C. Whitney, and I kept 2 of them in the glove compartment. Always carry spare fuel pumps. And so I pull up to a light. When the thing was, would go out on me, I got so good at this that I could actually change the fuel pump. Up with the hood, change the fuel pump before the light changed to yellow, and everybody, I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. Well, that's how guys that work in the Indy pits get, you see, because they've worked and rehearsed replacing a certain part on this car that comes in, that they can do it in practically split seconds. And that's what a real good pit crew does, you see. Not like your garage you go to, huh? Right, friend? 3 weeks to, to even talk to you. After that, it's another 6 weeks to decide whether or not they're going to replace it. Well, you see, if you really have to fix something, you really do it very fast. So I would hop out of the car, and the fuel pump, by the way, was up on the top of the block in this particular car. It was in the rear of the engine, almost at the firewall. And I could change that fuel pump so fast you wouldn't believe it. And I'd be out on a date, and I didn't want to tell a girl I'm going to change the fuel pump, see, because, then you start getting, oh, no, and I'm all dressed, none of that stuff, see. So the car would, I wouldn't say anything, see, I'd just say, oh, excuse me, and I'd open up the thing, and I'd take out the fuel pump, see, and I'd jump out of the car and run around, up with a hood, put the fuel pump on real quick, slam it down, and come back. And she'd say, what was all that? I'd say, oh, just checking to see whether I thought there was a hose getting loose, and I'd just check, and we drive on. You want to hear about convertibles? The way we have a note here for those of you that are convertible fans and dig trivia. This would be a great trivia question. See, somebody like 10 years ago from now, you can really get them on this trivia question. Say, who built the last convertible? Well, of course, in America, and it's who? What company? Cadillac, correct. Now, here's where you really get them. What was the serial number? Oh, okay. The serial number of the last car that came off the line was 6EL, EL standing for Eldorado, 6EL 47R, R as in Romeo, 62699-48. You lay that on your friends, and I'll tell you. That was the last one. And there was this girl who works on the assembly line, and she put the last parts, April 21st, put the last parts on the last rag top to come through, the last convertible built by General Motors. And what do you think is the last parts that they put on one of these cars on the assembly line? No. She put 4 radio and stereo and tape deck knobs, just the knobs. It's already been put in, all the stereo stuff. She put the knobs on just as it came off, and she put windshield washer fluid decal in the engine compartment. Now, this is a little decal that they put on the windshield washer in a little tank in there, and she put this decal on what kind of fluid to use and stuff. The last actual thing she did on the last convertible was to stick this little decal on it. And it took her 42 seconds. That was it. And and I'll tell you, that there's a strong belief that one of the reasons why the convertible has disappeared from the American scene is that Americans are into this fantastic hair hang-up. It's the hair. Now, a lot of people think, they think, basically, well, it must be because of safety. No, it's hair, actually. This is the biggest thing, because especially women's hair. You see, the average guy, he's going to let his hair fly, even if he does buy a convertible. He wants to do this, see. But if he's going out with this girl, and she spent, 8 hours with the Clairol, and 7 hours with the Maxi hair dryer and styling and all this, she says, I can't get in that car. What do you don't put the top down. So the next thing you know, he figures, well, what the hell? It's hair, primarily. But I remember one of the great moments in my life was this convertible. See, have you ever really been taken? I mean, really been taken. I mean, have you ever bought something and you really were taken to the cleaners? Okay. Now, it's a curious feeling. And especially when you're taken to the cleaners buying something that you really like. It's like for all of your life, we'll say for argument's sake, you've always wanted to own a collie. So you find yourself, well, I'm going to get a collie. And you go out and you look at all the places where they sell collies, and you finally pick this beautiful collie, and you put down the dough, and you take the collie, and it's all the shots and everything. 5 minutes after you get the collie home, the collie jumps out from under the porch and rips your shoe off and bites you in the behind. And and you discover that you haven't bought a collie at all. What you bought was Jaws. And you really start getting mad because you like the idea of having a collie, but you don't like the idea of all those bandages all the time. and the fact you don't have a kneecap anymore, So it's really discouraging. It's like, if you get taken on something that you don't basically want to buy anyway, it's not as much of a shock. Like for example, if you get taken by Con Ed, you don't want to pay that bill anyway. Well, all right, so you get mad, you read the bill, and you yell, and you call them up again, and you can't figure out why you got a bill for $9,422 because you got a one-room apartment. And this happens to people. And the lady says, well, I'm sorry, sir, but that bill is correct according to our records. He says, what do you mean, $9,428.86? How come the 86 cents? I am sorry, sir, our records tell you that this is the correct meter reading on your bill. Well, I wasn't even here. I was out of town for the last month and a half. Who the hell was using that? I am sorry, sir. I have another call on the other line. Click. Oh. They claim they're being polite, by saying sir. But you can say sir 15 different ways. Sir. And yeah, I know. Don't wave in my face. So, nevertheless, this is a problem, in life. The problem of getting taken when you buy something you really love. And it happened to me. And this is one of those things, I don't know quite how, I've never told this story in the air, because it's a touchy one with me, at this point. Have you ever not only been taken in the sense you're being taken by somebody close to you? Oh, boy. Wow. Well, okay. All right, I'll tell you. I'm a kid, right? And I have a job. I'm working away there, and I'm going to school. I'm saving my money, and I'm really working, saying I've got a job at a steel mill. I'm not working in one of these little jobs, where you get 3 cents a week and that kind of stuff. I'm working in a mill, and I've got a pretty good job, and it's summertime. I'm saving my dough, and the biggest thing I wanted out of life was to get myself a car. I wanted a convertible, especially. See, and I had this old Ford that I had worked on. It was a great car. And what I wanted to do is always get myself something really great. See, spend some dough, buy a car. So I'm looking at all the used car lots. I wasn't going to buy new ones. I was looking at the used car lots. And I was going around. I had my eye on this great Pontiac convertible. Okay. Right. Really great-looking convertible. I'll tell you, it was dark green. It was what they would call British racing green. It was a dark green convertible, and it had sort of tan upholstery. It had a beautiful tan. Oh, it was a great-looking car. See, so I'm going down there looking at this convertible, and I'm really, really just about to pop. And I come home that night after looking at this thing for about a week, see, and it's dinner time. The old man knows I'm looking for a convertible, and everybody in the family's kind of excitement time, and all of a sudden the old man comes out. He says, listen, he says, I got a real surprise for you. I said, yeah? He said, you've been looking at that Pontiac down there, Friendly Fred's, right? I said, yeah. Oh, what a car. Wow. I'll tell you, that thing it's got 29,000 miles on it. It was owned by a partially paralyzed Presbyterian minister who couldn't drive it. And every Sunday he would go out and just sit in the car and pretend that he was driving. And it's just, it's just like new. You wouldn't believe this car. It's fantastic. I says, look, you don't believe that stuff, do you? I said, what do you mean, Dad? Well, the guy told me that. Well, why would he lie? He says, why would he lie? Are you kidding? Why would he lie? Oh, well, you're going to learn. Oh, are you going to learn? So I just hold off. He said, I just hold off on it. I just hold off on that car for a while before I make any decision on it. And I said, well, yeah, but Dad, it's such a great car. He said, you just hold off. Just play it cool. I'll guarantee you something's wrong with that car. He said, and if you just hold off, he'll probably sell it to you for half what he wants today, if you look like you're really giving him a hard time. Well, okay. Well, a couple of days go by, and every day I go by this place, and I see this great car there. Wow, they polish it, and the lights are on it. The light bulbs all over it. See, it says Wednesday special. Oh, wow. Well, the second day I come home, the old man comes running up the back steps, and he says, "Boy, are you lucky? Are you lucky?" And I said, What about, Dad?" He said, "Are you lucky you didn't buy that car?" I said, "Why? Why, Dad?" He says, "You won't guess what happened at the office today." I said, "What happened?" He says, "Sherby's brother-in-law is a dealer. He lives over there outside of Bloomington. He's a dealer, and he sells Desotos. And they got a shipment of Desotos that the truck that was bringing them in went off the road, it flipped over, and now they've got these brand new Desoto convertibles that are just absolutely off the line, and the only thing that's wrong with them is there's a lot of scratches and stuff, and they'll fix it up, and they'll sell you this car at half the list price." I said, "A brand new Desoto convertible? You say the truck just rolled off, and they've got them, and they're just going to paint it, and they're going to sell it at half? Sure, they can't sell them for new cars. Are you kidding? They can't sell them that way." I said, "Oh, wow." And so the next day, me and the old man go to this guy's cockamamie little dealership way out in the woods there. It's surrounded by junkyards. And 2 hours later, I came home with a cream-colored Desoto convertible, for which he demanded cash on the barrelhead. And I had gone to the bank and got every last cent I had in the world, and I borrowed some from the old man, and I paid for that car, and it had 0.01 on that odometer. Well, 2 days later, I couldn't figure out why the car kept veering towards the curb. 3 days later, I discovered, after taking it into Paswinski's garage and putting it up on the lift, he says, "Where the hell did you get this junk?" I says, "Frank, it's my new car." He says, "This thing must have hit some kind of a concrete viaduct." He says, "You got a frame here that looks like Ronzoni spaghetti." He says, "Not only that," he says, "look at it, they painted all that black stuff on it." He says, "This car here," he says, "my God, I wouldn't even drive 4 feet in this car. This baby's going to kill you." That night, I went home to the old man, and I said, "Dad, I took the card out of Paswinski's, and he tells me I got the lemon beyond all lemon." I says, "What do you mean? Why, it's Sherby. It's his brother-in-law. He wouldn't do that to you." And then I discovered everybody will do it to you. Give him a chance. The wind's in the right direction. And for a year and a half, I owned a car that on the one hand, it looked so great with the top up. On the other hand, worst car I've ever owned in my life. Not only that, it got 6-7 miles to the gallon downhill with the key off. It burned oil. I began to realize this car had probably 164,000 miles on it when I got it. Somebody had driven it into a culvert. They set the odometer back, and guess who showed up? Oh, this is WOR New York. Stay tuned for In Conversation, will you?